السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. وقال الله تعالى في سورة القمر: ولقد يسرنا القرآن للذكر فهل من مدكر. عن عثمان رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. أما بعد. Before we proceed, let me introduce you to this course. So this course, Basic Arabic Grammar, is part of one of the projects that we have at Here for the Hereafter. And if you do not know about Here for the Hereafter, then a quick introduction is that we are an organization which we established in 2015, and our vision is to impart knowledge to develop individuals um, so that they can benefit the ummah and learn how to live here for the hereafter. So if for more details you can visit our website hereforthehereafter.com. So the ayah that I mentioned in the beginning is an ayah from Suratul Qamar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "And we have indeed made the Quran easy to understand and remember. Then is there any who will remember? Is there anyone who will remember?" This is the question that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us in the Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked this 4 times in the ayah. So one of the things, excuse me for that. One of the things, if you notice, is that there are a lot of people that find it very easy to memorize the Quran, and that is the reason why we have a lot of Hufal, Arab and non-Arab. And it is easy because Allah said it is easy to memorize. So even someone who is very young, like 10 or 12-year-old, someone who is old, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy for them, they memorize the Quran. But very few people actually understand, and very few people get the tawfiq to understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran. Very few people put in the effort to understand the Quran. Arabic is a language of the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Yusuf, "Inna anzalnahu Qur'anan Arabiyyan la'allakum ta'qilun." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran in Arabic for us to understand. So we have to, in order to understand the Quran in its original language, it is a must for us to learn Arabic. According to some of the ulama, learning Arabic is an obligation, and we must put some effort to learn Arabic so that we can understand the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Arabic is not a difficult language, bi'idhnillah, by the will of Allah. It is not very difficult as some of the people think, especially for those people who speak Urdu. 70 to 80% of the words in Urdu are from Arabic. So it becomes very easy if you are someone who speaks Urdu. The hadith that I mentioned after the ayah in the beginning, it is narrated by Bukhari from the hadith of Usman radiallahu anhu. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Khayrukum man ta'allama al-Qur'ana wa 'allamahu." Best of you are those who learn the Quran. Khayrukum man ta'allama al-Qur'ana wa 'allamahu, who learn and teach the Quran. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those, to make us someone who get the tawfiq to implement this hadith. May Allah make us among those. Before we proceed, in this course, um, I have a set of advices in order for you to benefit the most out of this course. The first is to have the right intention. Intention should be to learn Arabic in order to understand the Quran. The first hadith in Bukhari, as we all know, the hadith that says innamal a'malu binniyat, actions are based upon intentions. So the intent here to learn Arabic should be only to understand the Quran and not something else. It is a requirement upon us to continuously revive our intentions in order to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah keep us sincere in our intention and grant the ability to understand His kalam. The second thing is my advice is to all the students, whether in person or online, is to be regular in this course and not miss a single class. In fact, it is very important not just to be regular, rather to be on time. The reason is Arabic is a language that is linked, rules are linked to one another. So if you forget, if you miss a class or if you are late, so if you miss some rules, it will be very difficult for you to proceed further without having an understanding of what was taught earlier. We'll start right from scratch. We will take everything bit by bit, and if you follow along, then inshallah ta'ala it will be very easy for you to understand and reach that position in which you will be able to read difficult grammar books. So we'll be learning Arabic through the use of English language, and generally there are two methods to learn any language. The first method is if you go to a place, like for example if you go to any of the Arab countries, and you don't need to know any grammar, you don't need to know any rules, but just because you are in that atmosphere, in that environment where everyone starts speaking, you will be able to understand and speak. That is one of the methods, and that is how children learn speaking. In this method, you don't take support from any language. You directly get involved in the atmosphere, in the environment, and then you find yourself, you start speaking sometimes even without thinking. That is the method that usually the people who migrate or children learn language, because when a child grows up, the child starts imitating his or her parents, and they just try to understand, like, okay, this is called a car, this is called a ball, this is a bottle, and then they try to repeat that. In this method, this is the second method is to learn a language with the help of an existing language, of a language that you already know. And in this class we will be using the English language. I was saying that there are two methods to learn any language, and we'll be using English in order to learn Arabic. Difficulty are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this course, to make this language easy for us and grant us the tawfiq to learn this language so that we can understand the Quran and understand the Deen. The prerequisite, if you saw the message that I posted in the group, you don't need to have any knowledge of the Arabic language, but you'll have to know what these letters are. And just as in the English language, we have 20, how many? 26 letters, right? So in any language, at the very basic level, letters are merged together to form words, and then those words form a sentence or a phrase, and then sentences form a meaning, and that's how we proceed. So in the Arabic alphabet, there are 28 letters, and they are called huruful hija. Huruful hija. Huruful hija is the Arabic alphabet, and uh, it consists of 28 letters. There is a bit difference among the Arabic grammarians in terms of 28 or 29. I'll get into that in a little bit, but before we proceed, I want any one of you to go over these letters so that we know that what's the correct pronunciation. Can any one of you volunteer to read these? Okay, go ahead. Bismillah. Jim. Dal. Fa. Kaf. This is Meme, Noon, Ha, Wow. Yeah. Okay. Jazakallah khair. So if you notice, Hamza is missing over here, and the reason for that is, as I said, some of the grammarians, they regard Hamza and Alif to be the same letter. They say that whenever there's an Alif and it has a haraka on it, then this is not Alif, rather this is Hamza. So according to those who say that the Arabic consists of 28 letters, they say that Hamza and Alif, Alif and Hamza, both of them, they are one letter, but when there is an Alif without any haraka, it's an Alif, but when there comes an haraka, it becomes a Hamza, it's an Hamza. But those who say that Hamza and Alif are different letters, they regard the Arabic alphabet to be 29 instead of 28. So that's a very basic difference. When he read these letters, he made a mistake, and I want to point out so that all of us understand this, and this is especially for those who speak Urdu. Sometimes when we read Alif, Ba, Ta, Tha, we read them as Alif, Be, Te, Se, like that, because Arabic and Urdu are very similar, as I said, but the key difference here in the sound is there is no A sound in Arabic. In Urdu, we say Be, Te, Se, Jim, He, Khe, but in Arabic, just forget about the A sound. It's either A, E, U. So this is A, this is E, and this is U. There's just one place in the Quran where there's the sound of Re in Surat Hud. That's a completely another discussion. But apart from that, in the qira'ah that is very common, the qira'ah of Hafs, you won't find anywhere in the Quran except for one place where there's an A sound. The ayah in Surat Hud, it says, Bismillahi majreha wa mursaha. So this is an exception, but apart from that, there's no A. So from now on, you can see that just forget about a sound, and it becomes very easy for you to proceed with ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kha, dal, zal, that way. Um, Sequence is important, just that in English we go with A, B, C, D. So this is the sequence according to a dictionary. Sometimes you find that these somewhere along these lines some letters are flipped, but this is the sequence according to the Arabic dictionary. What the letters are, once we know what the letters are, the other thing to know is harakat. So these are the letters in the Arabic alphabet, and then there's something called harakat. What are harakat? Harakat are those symbols on the letters that uh, gives the sound in Arabic. Like for example, these letters without any harakat, they have a sound. But when you put any haraka on them, let's say for example on this is ra, but if you put like a kasra, then it becomes ri. If you put a dhamma, it becomes ru. So there's one sound of the letter itself, but then if you put harakat, the sound changes. And harakat plus huruf gives a lafz, which is a word. Uh, any questions until now? Does it make sense? Very straightforward, simple. So let me write it down. So harakat essential, the three essential are like the basic ones are three, and then we have something called a sukun. Sometimes it's written with this symbol. Let me write it in the middle. So all of us know that this is fatha, this is kasra, this is dhamma, and in Urdu we say zabar, zair, pesh, but we'll stick to the original what we call. So fatha, kasra, dhamma, and this is a sukun, this symbol, and this is sometimes written like this depending on what script of the Quran you are looking at, but for the purpose of this course we'll stick to this symbol. So we know four of them now, and these uh, letters with harakat, so can write this forms a love or a word. So let's take some examples in order to be more clear. Uh, we have these three letters. These letters, when written separately, does it make sense to anyone? Like za, ya, dal doesn't. But when you combine them with harakat, let's ignore these for now. So what does this become? Zaid. And you will see that this person is mentioned a lot in the books of grammar. For some reason, they like Zaid. So whenever I work on the books that I'm working on, I remember Zaid a lot. So Z. Now this made sense when we combine letters with these harakat, right? So letters plus harakat form a love. Example of Hamza and Alif that I forgot. So we are talking that Alif and Hamza, what's the difference between them? So the first the first word that was revealed, does anyone know what was it? On the Iqra, right? Iqra. So in Iqra, if you write the word, this was the first love that was revealed on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So can anyone volunteer to say, do we have any Hamza or do we have any Alif? What do we have? Okay, I'm sorry. Let me put this. So now, yeah, so, we don't have. Uh, okay. So this is Hamza because it has a haraka, right? So it's an alif with a kasra, but because it's with a haraka, we say that this is a Hamza. This is not an alif. Same goes for this one. So this is an alif, but it has a haraka on it, so it becomes a Hamza. So there is no alif over here. Let's take another example. So insan. So do we have any alif over here? Where? Yes. So this is the alif because it does not have any haraka on it. And what about this? Is this Hamza or is it an alif? Hamza. Because it has kasra on it. Until now we have learnt the importance of Arabic language, and in that we learned that some of the ulama, they say that it is an obligation upon us, so we should put effort to understand the language of the Quran so that we can understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran and what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a hadith. Then we looked into huruful hijab. Huruful hijab is the Arabic alphabet, which consists of 28 letters, some say 29, depending on the difference between alif and hamza. We all know how those letters are pronounced, and we saw that there's no A sound. That's like a formula to pronounce it correctly. And then we saw after the letters, there's something called harakat, and a letter with a haraka on it gives sense when all of them are put together. So letters plus harakat gives a lafz or a word. This is something we did until now. So are there any questions in that? It's pretty much clear to everyone. Okay. To see is, we saw that letters plus harakat gives a word. Okay, we are calling it a word or a lafz in Arabic. Lafz, a word, can either be meaningful or it can be meaningless. So let's classify words into two categories: meaningful words and meaningless words. What do you mean by that? So there are some words that like don't make any sense, but we call them as words. um, I'm trying to remember a word in English, like it doesn't make sense, but we still use it. Can any one of you give an example? Like I know in Urdu, Yeah, for example, the blah 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 or whatever, it doesn't make sense, but we still call it a word. And in Urdu we have a lot. For example, we say uh, chai chai shai, or we say khali pili. So khali pili, the word khali, it means something, but pili doesn't make any sense, but we still use it. So there are some words even in the Arabic language that don't make sense, but they are still called as words. So those words are not called kalima. So there's a difference between love and kalima. Okay, so kalima and love. So there's like a technical definition in Arabic as to what kalima means, but for our understanding and to keep it simple, we can understand it this way, that meaningful words are called kalima. Like for the plural of kalima will be kalimat. So meaningful word. A kalima is a meaningful word, and it will be one of three. It has three. There are three categories. Um, Let me show you. So we have something called ism, fail, and harf. We have ism, we have fail, we have harf. Okay, so if there's a kalima, if there's a meaningful word, it will either be an ism, or it will be a fail, and or it will be a harf. So what are these? Let us try to take an example in English. Becomes very easy with that. In English, we have, I'm not sure for the exact number, but around 8 or 9, and they are called parts of speech. So, what are parts of speech? Parts of speech are categories of words. For example, in English, let's uh, let me write it down here. In English, we say tall. So we say that someone is tall. So what is this tall? Is it a noun? Is it a verb? Is it an adjective? Is it a conjunction? All of these are parts of speech. So from what I remember from the top of my head, noun, verb, preposition, conjunction, adjective, adverb. I think there are more to it, but I don't remember. So tall is an adjective in English. An adjective is something that describes a noun in English. An adjective is something that describes. So tall refers to someone, right? Uh, so that someone or something is nothing but a noun, and this is an adjective. It's describing it. In Arabic, as I said, noun, verb, conjunction, preposition, adjective, adverb, all of these are compressed into just three. So in Arabic, for example, an adjective is called a sifa. Okay, a sifa means an adjective. It is describing a noun, but it comes under ism. There's no, like, if there's a kalima, then it will be uh, either of these three. There's no fourth. Okay, so does this make sense, or is there any difficulty in understanding these concepts? Make sense? Okay. I think this is a good point where we can stop before moving on, because in the next class, inshallah ta'ala, we'll see what do we mean by an ism, just a very basic overview definition. What do you mean by a fi'l and a harf, and how these three are linked to the ones we have in English. Like as I said, as I gave an example, in English we have a noun. In English we have a noun. All of us know what a noun is, and this noun is ism. Okay, but we have an adjective, and this adjective we call it an adjective in English, but it's an ism in Arabic. Okay, so this is how all of those 7 or 8 parts of speech are part like are made to fit in these. So inshallah we'll see all of that in the next class. uh, there are only 3 parts of speech in Arabic. That's correct. A brother is asking if there are only 3 parts of speech. Yes, there are just 3 parts of speech in Arabic. And when is sukun used? Okay. So sukun is used to um, merge a sound, as we all know from the rules of tajweed. Like for example, we have Usman. Okay. So this is a sukun because it's merging. It's yeah. So let's say Usmanun with a rafa. So this is the sukun, and the sukun is used to merge the sound in order to. So tha doesn't have a sound of its own. It's getting merged into the sound of ain. So that is where sukun is used. I hope that's clear. Yes, meaningless. One of the brothers is asking meaningless. Yes, meaningless is a love. It's still a word. It doesn't have any meaning, but still we consider it a word. So it is something that is still a word, but it's not a kalima. So there's this difference between love and a kalima. For your participation. May Allah accept this from us, and may Allah make us among those, as the Prophet ﷺ said, the best of those are those who teach and learn the Quran. May Allah make us among those. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.